Good evening, everyone, cooperators, candidates, and election committee members. My name is Francine Weaver Jones, and I am the chairperson for the Riverbay 2022 Election Committee. Welcome to the first of 3 candidate forum. They will all be virtual due to the uptick in COVID-19 and the variant. This forum and all the others will be rebroadcast for your convenience in helping you to make your voting choices. My apologies are extended to the candidates for the last minute decisions that had to be made, but we all know that these are not normal times. I thank you in advance for your understanding. The cooperators were invited to email their questions to Riverbay 2022 election at riverbaycorp.com. You can still email questions to this address to use for the next 2 forums. Without further ado, I will introduce the 2022 election committee. We have Denise Gerald.
Hello, everybody.
Sandy Krasnoff.
Hello.
Marita Taylor.
Hi, everybody. Everyone.
John Gale.
Here.
Dorian King. Yvonne Allen.
Hi, everyone.
And Jerasia Wilson. The election committee attorney is Jeff Buss of Smith, Buss, and Jacobs, LLP.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And now Sandy and Jeff will continue with the forum.
Excuse me, it's not on. It's not on 591.
I'm watching 591 now. It's on.
They were saying to
It's
turn
on
the
there.
TV off. Okay, Jeff and Sandy.
Yes, hi. Good evening, everyone. We have established a set of rules to conduct the forum by. And as Francine was just stating, there's going to be 3 candidate forums this year. All of them are going to be virtual. And the first one is obviously right now, Wednesday, April 27th, started at 7:30. We're going to have another one on Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and a third forum on Wednesday, May 4th, also at 7:30 in the evening. All certified candidates who are here this evening are invited to participate in these forums. We're attempting to broadcast it live over our master antenna television system. I hope it's working for everybody. See what else can I go over here. We're going to record this forum this evening, so we'll be able to be rebroadcast. And if for any reason a candidate cannot attend, they're asked to let the committee know, and we will try to announce that to the audience that's watching. Okay. And I'd like to now turn it over to Sandy Krasnoff to read the actual rules about how many minutes a candidate will have to speak and answer questions. Sandy?
Yeah. 1, candidates will be permitted up to 2 minutes for an opening statement and up to 1 minute for a closing statement. It is a candidate's option to make shorter statements. Number 2, candidates are requested to refrain from personal attacking each other, from making statements which could expose Riverbay to liability. Candidates are requested to show respect for their colleagues by not making gestures or facial expressions when other candidates are speaking. The committee reserves the right to mute candidates who, in the committee's option of violating the rules, and delete any rebroadcasts from the forum. Candidates who are abusive in the option of the committee chair may be muted and or from participating in the balance of the forum. 3, No candidate will be included or allowed to participate in the forum who appears after the final candidate opening statement is made.
She might be frozen.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Well, seem to have lost Sandy. So any candidate will be allotted up to a minute, I believe, Francine, to respond to the
The
question.
committee will stop taking questions about approximately 9:30 p.m., at which time the candidates will finish their closing statement. Candidates who are not
Sandy,
present.
Sandy, you're breaking up. I think Jeff can continue. Thank you.
I was going to say, I apologize to everybody. We're having a little difficulty. Each person's internet connection comes and goes, so sometimes it fades out. So what Sandy was saying is that at about 9:30, we're going to stop with questions and allow candidates to make a closing statement. So thank you, everybody. And with that said, I'd like to turn it back over to you, Francine, to start the proceeding.
Okay, please note that during our opening statement, you will get a warning signal, a warning that you have 30 seconds left to speak. When you make your 1-minute closing statement, you will get a warning that you have 15 seconds left to speak. And when you make your 1-minute response to a question, you will get a warning that you have 15 seconds left to speak. Your cooperation would be appreciated. Okay, so I guess it's time to start the question, and we'll go in order of how you were chosen. That's the numbers are, the first is Raymond Serrado, Lynette Wright is number 2, number 3 Blossom John, number 4 Mary Pearson, number 5 Ezekiel Springer Jr., number 6 is Ivy Gaynor, number 7 is Aisha Fernandez Ahmed, number 8 Rod Saunders, number 9 Monique Coleman, number 10 Jacqueline Smith, number 11 Michelle Marbury. Okay, so
Francine?
yes.
Francine? Hi, could I just interject for a moment? I've got some feedback that the volume is low on some people's television sets, so candidates try to speak louder than you normally would, with the exception of one of you who always has that skill.
I wonder who you're talking about.
Okay, question number 1. In order for our community to remain strong and vibrant, we need shareholders who are actively involved. In what way?
Excuse me, Francine, are they going to introduce themselves first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Opening statement. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so I read your names off, so we'll begin with Raymond Serrado.
Good evening.
You have
My
2
name is
minutes.
Raymond Serrado. I'd like to thank everyone for showing up on the webcast. I prefer to do it in person, but this is just as good, I guess. I've lived here for almost 20 years, and in that time, I've served on many committees and volunteer organizations. I've also served on the board from 2010 to 2013. I intend on retiring here in Co-op City and make this my permanent residence for the rest of my life. I'm hoping that you'll support me in the upcoming election, and I will work as hard as I can to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Lynette Wright.
Good evening, Co-op City. My name is Lynette Wright, and I thank you for the opportunity to run for the Riverbay Board of Directors. I could go through my accolades and what I've done and why I feel I should be a board director, but I want you to get to know me first. I have been a resident of Co-op City since I was 3 years old. After I completed college, grad school, and returned from the United States Peace Corps in Guatemala, I couldn't think of anywhere else that I wanted to live, but in the community that raised me. I didn't move back here because it was the best deal in town. I came back to this community because Co-op City is my home. Over the years, I've seen how the relationship between the community, the board, and management has changed. We as shareholders aren't informed as much, if at all, many times of important events, laws, and policies that impact us, and our input isn't requested. We need leaders who are prepared to be held accountable by shareholders, while also seeing the strength of the community and have the ability to motivate and inspire change. We need leaders who understand the concerns of shareholders, ranging from crime and safety to the financial and emotional burden that the convectors have on us and our apartments. We need leaders who can move us into the 21st century while understanding that we should have no shareholder left behind. We are neighbors and should always help each other to thrive. If this is the change that you and leadership that you desire, vote for Rod Saunders, Blossom Johns, Jacqueline Smith, and I, Lynette Wright, to the Board of Directors. We have strength in numbers, and we are stronger together. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to tonight's questions.
Thank you. Next up is Blossom John.
We don't hear her.
You're on mute.
You're still on mute.
No, not yet.
Something's wrong. There's no mute sign.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
I apologize. Hello, my name is Blossom Johns, and I'm asking for your vote in running for the Riverbay Board of Directors. I've been a proud member of Co-op City since June 2000. The ability to analyze a situation and find a solution that best suits our community are skills that I plan to bring to the board if elected. Volunteering for the board is a major responsibility, creating policy, overseeing the budget, and investing shareholders' money back into the community. I'm also aware that it can be rewarding by creating an affordable, safe, and beautiful community to live in. To maintain the best quality of life here, hard decisions would have to be made at the best interest of the shareholders. In 2019, one of those decisions came about when MTA bus redesign plan was happening. The plan was so horrific that I finally had enough and decided to take action. I signed up for the MTA ad hoc committee, was elected as co-chair, and working alongside the board members, our elected officials, and dedicated shareholders, we were successful in gaining our buses and saving our services. I realized that I can make a difference by creating change and getting involved. I stayed involved with the legislative committee, and we continue to strive for better bus service, improve communications with our elected officials, and fighting for free zoning. I stand firmly on the platform of increased board transparency and inclusiveness. With clear, concise, and easy to understand methods of communication, shareholders would be more informed on what issues are and why certain decisions are made. As a board member, I would push for more ad hoc committees to assist in finding solutions to our more problematic issues, especially on pending mandates like clean energy. While on the ad hoc committee, I met some amazing professionals and young and retired who are secret gems in Co-op City. I want to encourage more involvement, starting with more open board meetings and more modern forms of public communication. Respectfully, I ask for your vote for Blossom Johns, my team, Rod Saunders, Lynette Wright, and Jacqueline Smith. Together, we are strong. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mary Pearson.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Pearson. I am on the board now. I was elected in 2018 for a 3-year term. Hello, we're in the 4th year. Thank you, COVID. We have to figure out what that happens. If 9 years is the limit, or is it 10 now? Okay, I did not prepare anything. I'm very apologetic. I've been working drastically on frenetically on the DOT, what they're going to do to our neighborhood. It's more than just the ramp. Remember that line. It is more than just the ramp. They're going to take away the ramp from City Island to get us home. We have to make a U-turn halfway down Pelham Parkway to get back home. We have to fight this thing. We have to fight this thing. And I am a fighter. I was out trying to get the monopole down when Andy King was saying, oh, we have to be nice to our corporate citizens. We can't have him pay $800,000 to take this pole down. He'll pay $100,000 to decorate it like the Empire State Building as a monument to Co-op City, to which I said, a monument to the day that you almost killed our children when that thing came flying down. Well, so that's what I do. I apologize for not being prepared to speak today, but extemporaneous is what I do. I'm Mary Pearson. I'm running independently. I think teams are great, but I like to think for myself. I don't like to be pressured to think for this team, for that team. I like lots of people on the old board, and I like lots of people that will be coming on the new board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next, we have Ezekiel Springer Jr.
Evening, everyone. My name is Ezekiel Springer. I've called Section 5 home since 2005. One of my sisters moved here in 1994, my father in 1999, and I have a nephew who is a public safety officer. So it's safe to say Co-op City runs in my blood. In working over 30 years in television post-production and 20 years with A&E Networks, I've learned how to organize. For the last 4 years, I've served as secretary for the Building 32 Association. I've informed cooperators about events, meetings, raffles. I've scheduled guest speakers. I've talked to public safety officials. I've met with politicians like Jamal Bowman, and I've taken part in holiday lobby decoration, Co-op City Fun Day, association fee collection. Through it all, I've learned that hundreds of us like-minded residents want to be heard and have someone act on their concerns. With your vote, I can serve as a strong voice for Co-op City residents. My platform is simple. They are your top concerns. Safety for our community, maintaining affordability, fostering a spirit of Co-op City, reaching a high standard of service, maintaining our good quality of life while striving for an excellent one. So vote for the spirit of Co-op City. My team, Michelle Marbury, Monique Coleman, Ivy Gaynor, Aisha Hernandez Ahmed, and me, Ezekiel Springer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ivy Gaynor, you're up next.
Hello. I hope everyone can hear me because Ezekiel sounded a little quieter. Am I coming through loud enough?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Ivy Gaynor, and I've been a resident now here in Co-op City for 10 years. And I've always been interested in living in Co-op City prior to living here. I've known many people who've lived in the neighborhood and always thought that this was such a high functioning area to reside in and just to come and visit and see how things were laid out. My favorite, what I find most attractive about it is the community and the services that are rendered towards the community. You have elder care, you have programs for the young. We have programs here that just see to the needs of all its residents. I would like to be a part of that as a board member. I'd like to see the improvement of the affordability so that it could stay that way. That now that I'm in here, I'm not one of those people that says, okay, I don't care about who's coming behind me. I would like for it to stay affordable. As a committee, as a person who's never been on any committees, I have been with the Coalition to Save Affordable Housing, and I was their treasurer for a while. Prior to coming to Co-op City and before I retired, I was a shop steward for 15 years, participated in many organizations and organizing people and bringing them together. I believe that when people work together, we get so much more accomplished, especially when we have a common agenda and not selfish interests. I prefer to be on a committee. I have not decided which ones that I would find most interesting, but I believe anything that has to do with the development and enhancement and beautification of of Co-op City while maintaining not only the affordability, but the safety that this neighborhood has over most others. And basically, just wanted to let you know who I am, Ivy Gaynor, and I am a people person, and I am not known to argue. I will argue a situation, but in a very calm way. I do not believe in negative, feedback with people. I don't believe in,
Time up.
making snide remarks and stuff, so I'm really looking forward to this. This will be my first time if you elect me, and please vote
Thank
for
you.
our
Time is
team.
up.
Time up.
Your
Okay,
time is
Spirit
up.
of Co-op
Time up.
City.
Time is up.
Time up.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we
Thank you.
have Aisha Hernandez Ahmed.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Aisha
My
Hernandez
volume
Ahmed.
has gone down.
Yeah,
I'm
speak a
sorry.
little louder.
Okay. My name is Aisha Hernandez Ahmed. I live in Co-op City since 2016. I was here prior to that in 1998. I've been a part of Co-op City for many years. I've been able to join different clubs and help different organizations within Co-op City. I live with my mother here in Section 1. I'm very proud to live here and I love Co-op City. It's a wonderful place to live. I decided to run for the board of directors because I think I can bring a lot to enhance the quality of life of our shareholders. And I just wanted to just have you know, get to know me and let you decide whether I am the person you would like to vote for. I'm part of the Safe Affordable Housing Committee, and my team is Michelle Marbury, Ezekiel Springer. Who's the other one? Ivy Gaynor.
Monique.
And Monique Coleman, my favorite. So please vote for our team. We can guarantee you that we can do our best to make Co-op City a much better place than what it already is. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Rod Saunders.
To the members of the committee, to the shareholders tuned in, fellow candidates, good evening. I'm Rod Saunders. I'm proud to be a 45-year resident shareholder here in Bartow. My community involvement has been diverse, and it
A
includes
little
4
louder.
years.
Hear you.
It includes 4 years in Little League coaching and 2 years on the Little League Board of Directors. I'm a past president of the African American Association. I served for 11 years as an elected member and past president of the Community School Board here in District 11. I was first elected to the Riverbay Board of Directors in 2015 and re-elected in 2018. My accomplishments as a board member include fostering a stronger relationship with our elected representatives as chairs of the board's legislative committee. I co-created the Best and Brightest program for Co-op City resident students. This program has been a rewarding experience for the students and their parents, and an equally rewarding experience for me as well. Being proactive in working with the Co-op City residents to obtain the MTA bus routes so badly needed by our Co-op City resident communities, along with 3 of the MTA ad hoc committee and Stronger Together team members here tonight, has been one of my most cherished accomplishments. Why am I seeking re-election to the board of directors? Well, going forward, I want to work with the Stronger Together team to address cooperative concerns such as water overflowing from our convectors, maintenance and repair protocols, call center waiting times, and working with our elected representatives to comply with their climate control legislative mandates while keeping Co-op City affordable and paying for these essential capital projects. Therefore, from May 2nd to May 20th, you have an opportunity to make a difference, to make a change. And what I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to vote for my teammates, Blossom Johns, Lynette Wright, Jacqueline Smith, and to re-elect me, Rod Saunders. I want to thank you all. Be safe and stay well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to make a report that I just got a call from one of the shareholders. They're not getting any sound coming from this meeting. They're trying to watch it on television. Okay.
I turned it halfway up, to 50. You could hear it.
Well, somebody just called me, not you, John.
Which member is that?
Well, she's a cooperator. She's trying to listen on her.
Which section? It could be the section.
Oh, section 5.
And it could be the building. So.
Yeah, I think if it's just one person, then it might be something on a user end. So it
Well,
could,
she said other people too are not getting.
other
sound.
people. Oh,
So I think she's in building 33. Oh. But anyhow, I guess we should go on. Next we have Monique Coleman.
What happened to her?
What happened to her?
Monique? Oh, there she is.
I don't know. Everything went dark for a moment. I'm not really sure what happened. Am I up?
Yes, your turn.
Sorry about that. So my name is Monique Coleman. I've lived in Co-op City for more than 30 years. I raised 2 young adult sons who are now grown up and have moved out. I first ran for the board last year in 2021, and I came in 6th place. But I was seated as a full board member in October when Cheryl Jenkins resigned. But I was only, it's only temporary. I'm here to complete her term, which actually expires at the end of May. So after my very first few board meetings, I realized there was an enormous amount of work to be done. But there's so much work that it's important that, for me to focus in areas where I feel like I could make a difference. And one of the patterns that I noticed was that we were being asked to vote for expiring insurance policies with only days before the expiration, with very little time to read or understand the policies or to pose questions. And we were being forced to, vote with very little information. Our board president thought it would be a great idea to start an insurance committee. And he asked me if I would lead it, which I accepted because my history, my professional life is in insurance. And our committee has, wrapped our arms around this process, and we've been able to deliver like true savings by being engaged and asking tough questions of the professionals that support us. So the things that are most important to me are affordability, accountability, and keeping Co-op City independent. So autonomy is also of the utmost importance. Thank you. Please vote for me and the spirit of Co-op City: Monique Coleman, Aisha Ahmed, Zeke Springer, Michelle Marbury, and Ivy Gaynor.
Thank you. Next up is Jacqueline Smith. You're muted, Jacqueline.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Smith, and I'm running as a candidate for the Riverbay Board with the Stronger Together team. And that's a very fitting title for me because I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was 1971, and I was a little girl running around Section 5. My playground was big brown dirt, a few completed apartments, milk machines in the basement, and a grocery store in the garage. But my journey began before that. I remember being 5 years old in 1968 when my mother first tried to get into Co-op City, and they found all kinds of ways My mother had to save $2,000 to use a union truck to come in here. So my mother was strong. And she moved into Section 5 in 1971 in Building 35, and we were happy. Then the rent strike came, and I watched my mother along with other cooperatives unite together because they moved to Co-op City for a better life. They moved to Co-op City because it was affordable. They moved to Co-op City because it had schools. They moved to Co-op City because it had good recreation. They moved to Co-op City for a lot of good reasons, and they fought hard to keep it, and they won. I grew up here. I strived here. I went to college. I went to grad school. And then I had to work 2 jobs to pay back all that money. But slowly, over a period of time, I was afforded the opportunity to join some committees. And my greatest achievement was being with 2, 3 wonderful individuals. Blossom John, co-chaired the MTA committee. Lynette Wright, what a statistical analysis lady writing that proposal. And with the stewardship of Ron Saunders, understanding the legislative process, Jacqueline, myself, out in the community, gathering surveys, it reminded me of when cooperatives came together and this community could be anything. I'm humbled, I'm privileged. My mother's 80 years old. She retired to Alabama. She called me an hour ago and she said, go get them, Jacqueline. You're keeping the spirit of what it means to be a cooperator in Co-op City alive.
Thank you,
I
Jacqueline.
humbly ask for your vote, and I thank you for
you.
listening.
Okay. And last we have Michelle Marbury.
Thank you, Ms. Reva, and thank you to the sitting members and candidates, and greeting shareholders. My 11-year-old niece asked me, Auntie, why are you doing this? And I replied, there are 3 important reasons, Sadia. Number 1, someone thought enough of me to ask me to be a leader in this community more than twice. Number 2, I know that if we are to succeed, we must act. And number 3, when someone asks you, what did your auntie do when Co-op City needed its shareholders to step up and be a voice for the over 40,000 residents that live here, you can say this, Sadia. My auntie is the 2nd vice president of the Riverbay Corporation, and she's proposed over 41 resolutions which Riverbay policies have been made. Michelle is a leader on several different fronts. She's president of the African American Association and created the Section 4 partnership of Co-op City, whose purpose is to help all shareholders to see themselves as business partners and not just neighbors. Michelle serves as vice president of the Building 21 Association, chairperson of the IT committee, and co-chair of the security committee, and a member and host of other clubs and organizations in this community. Say to anyone that asks you, Michelle Marbury cares so much about her community and all of the people in it that she has decided to run for them again. And she has put together a team of leaders who will defend your voice in the boardroom. Tell them that team is Monique Coleman, political strategist and chaplain Aisha Hernandez Ahmed, financial advisor and coalition member Ivy Gaynor, and A&E television network editor and secretary of the Building 32 Association, Ezekiel Springer Jr. Tell all that inquire that we are the spirit of Co-op City.
Thank you.
Somos el espíritu de Co-op City. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That was amazing, all of you. Okay, now we'll get on to the question. And cooperators are welcome to send in their questions to the email address, which is Riverbay 2022 election at riverbaycorp.com. So with that, I'll start the questions. Number 1, in order for our community to remain strong and vibrant, we need shareholders who are actively involved. In what ways have you been engaged, participated, or involved yourself in the Co-op City community to help improve and preserve our quality of life? Oh, well, I'll just go in order. If you want to say something, you can, or else we'll pass. Raymond Serrado, you're muted. You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. So I've as I said before, I served on the board for 3 years, 2010 to 2013. I've served on the Community Education Council 3 years as well. I served on the CERT 10 team for the Office of Emergency Management, as well as all other organizations within our community.
Okay, Lynette Wright, do you want to answer that question?
Absolutely. So I really started with the ad hoc committee against NTA cuts in 2019, working with the Stronger Together team with Blossom Johns, Jacqueline Smith, as well as Rod Saunders. I also, right now, I'm active when that committee had ended to be going to the legislative committee, where we're talking to elected officials about a variety of different things, which included this ramp and various other things that have come up throughout the years. I'm also on the IT committee as well as a member. And right now I am also doing I'm the co-chair of the steering committee for the Section 5 Co-op City Fridge. So, which we've been able, luckily, to be able to service people within Section 5 during this pandemic and getting them a fridge during this time, though anyone is welcome to participate at the time. So that's, I think, a majority of the things that I've done. We've constantly had interactions with elected officials in regards to different things that have come up, and we've expressed concern and been able to fight for this community and the things that are necessary, not what the city wants and not what the state wants, but what we actually need. And I've been there through that, and I've been there through my team.
Okay, thank you. Lynette, Blossom Johns, would you like to answer that?
Absolutely. When I moved to Co-op City in 2000, I was gassed meeting my new neighbors at the door. And within 6 months, they talked about the Building Association, Building 10, and invited me to come down and participate. Within the year, I was the secretary there. I hung in there with my Building Association for 5 years as the secretary, then took over as the youth group leader. That continued on for 4 years. And then years went by, and as my son got older and went off to college, I recruited and turned it over to the younger parents in the building, but always stayed active and always there for them. When the bus redesign started and I jumped right on it, it reminded me that this is my home, this is where I'll retire, and I want to leave a legacy for my children. So I've been involved since, working through the rolled over into the legislative committee, the education committee, and most recently the Democratic committee. I'm proud to be here. I want to stand strong with my team, Rod Saunders, Lynette Wright, and Jacqueline Smith, because together we did it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mary, how about you? Would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, I first started volunteering to teach children piano in Section 5. I did that for a few years, mostly the little ones, the kindergartners. I was involved in the Working Families Party. I was the first to organize the March on Washington after Trump was elected. Let's see. Oh, I'm very into voting. If you ever notice signs in your lobbies, I'm the one who put those together for the past 4 or 5 years. For every 65 different ones for each lobby. I didn't hang them up myself. The garage committee did that. Let's see. I'm looking at my crib sheets here. I helped organize the Black Lives Matter march after George Floyd's murder. Helped make the flyer for them. I did a Save the U.S. Post Office rally. I fought the monopole. You could have seen me on TV for about one round, saying, take it down, take it down, take it down. But Andy King made sure they took that part down.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
I'll tell you the rest later.
Ezekiel Springer Jr., would you like to answer that question? You're muted.
Thank you. My pleasure. As I said before, I am the secretary of the Building 32 Association. I've been that for 4 years. I've had much fun with my other association members, putting together candy for the Halloween trick or treat giveaway, doing lots of things like helping to coordinate and participate in the Co-op City Fun Day. And once I started a petition about the lobby attendance. And so that was a great way to see a good swath of my Co-op City fellow cooperators come together, voice their opinions, and we then push that petition forward. Didn't exactly work out, but I learned from that experience, and I'm ready to do much more work with my team on the board of directors.
Okay, thank you very much. Ivy Gaynor, would you like to answer that question?
Yes, how you doing? Listen, I had some experience with working with the Coalition to Save Affordable Housing and passing out flyers and trying to get people involved. I've also participated in programs that have taken for the holidays with children, as far as the Easter vacation and Christmas, but I haven't done anything since COVID. So I'm kind of rusty when it comes to that, but I will tell you now, I have a lot of energy and I get very excited about programs that are going to bring the community together and bring them out. I'm very excited. I'm always trying to promote with people in this area about new things that I've heard coming out, like far as when the fireworks and keeping each other abreast. The retirees of Dries a Loop, I've been a part of their programs. But since COVID, nothing. But I really find it, since since COVID is being lifted, I feel a little more comfortable about getting out, getting in touch with more people. Lots of ideas. I have a lot of ideas about what we could do to fundraise and maybe help keep the coalition more affordable.
Thank you very
Basically,
much.
that's it.
Okay. Aisha Hernandez Ahmed, would you like to answer that question? Yeah, Aisha, you're muted.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, yes. Well, I'm happy to say that I've been very involved in the community for many years. Presently, I am with the Building Tenants Association, Building 1 and 2. I'm also a member of the Spanish American Co-op City Club. I've worked with the American Legion 1871. I'm a member of the People's First Democratic Club, helping get food out there during the COVID pandemic. I also helped the Black Forum get a place when they lost the place that was in Dreiser Loop. I'm a member of the IT committee. I am a member of Safe City Committee, and I'm also a member of the Leasing and Restoration Committee. When Ada Lucas didn't have a pantry to distribute food, I was the one who helped her together with the team to get to get a pantry in my building. So since then, we've been able to help people get food in this community through that. I also during COVID times I helped give
Okay, I'm sorry, we have to cut you off. Your time is up.
face masks and 20,000 face shields.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next up is Rod Saunders. Would you like to answer that? You're muted.
Thank you so much. As a board member, I've been involved in many activities here in Co-op City, but I would have to say that recently, getting involved with that MTA ad hoc committee and my fellow teammates who are running with me, Lynette Wright, Blossom Johns, and Jacqueline Smith. It gave me a new sense of how wonderful it is to work with our shareholders, not just with board members, but shareholders. People will come together. The first time ever in the history of this community, we had the president of the MTA come to Co-op City, hear our concerns, and in the end, we won that fight. As chair of the legislative committee this year, we stepped up our game. This year, we've had a guest to our committee meeting, Assemblyman Mike Benedetto, Council Member Kevin Riley, and we had, before she was sworn in, the new Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson. To each of those individuals, we expressed needs and concerns for Co-op City, everything from zoning to parking. I'm very happy to be chair of the committee and work for
Sorry
this
to have
community.
to cut you off, but your time is up. Thank you. Next up, Monique Coleman, would you like to answer that question?
Sure, sure. So as a brand new board member, I have spent a great deal of my time in the last 6 months doing nothing but board work. I'm on 2 committees. As I mentioned, I chair the insurance committee, and I'm also on the audit committee for the entire corporation. And so we look at everything. I'm also part of the Coalition to Save Affordable Housing, and I am the treasurer of that organization. And then I have a full-time job, so there's not a lot of time for other things. But as a shareholder, I enjoy participating in our annual fireworks display, our Tunes on Tuesdays. So I'm in the community. I'm part of it. So.
Okay, thank you so much. Next up, Jacqueline Smith, would you like to answer that?
Yes, I would. To tell you the truth, my first involvement was at 16 years old when I was a counselor for Gloria Wise Day Camp in Section 5. I enjoyed that very much, mentoring to the younger people. When I completed my education, the first committee I worked on was the election committee. I found that very interesting. It let me know exactly what it entailed to run an election in Co-op City and what it really took to be a candidate. After that, I had the honor and privilege to serve on the MTA committee, and I cannot tell you what a pleasure it was to see our co-chair Blossom Johns, Lynette Wright, our statistical giant, and our stewardship from Rod Saunders watch all of us come together with the cooperatives. I can't tell you how much it reminded me of what cooperatives used to do when they're allowed to get involved in the decision-making process in Co-op City. I was about to join the Best and Brightest committee. I was really looking forward to that. I'm a social worker by trade. I work with our young people in detention. I've been doing it for 20 years.
Okay, well, thank you,
Unfortunately,
Jacqueline.
COVID hit.
We'll come back to you, but the time is up now. And last but not least is Michelle Marbury.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Reva. I was just here jotting down notes, trying to figure out which committees to talk about. I chair the IT committee. I co-chair the security committee. Before I was a board director, I served on the building and grounds committee and sales and leasing. And at that time it was called sales and leasing. I think they've broken up that committee now. But but you talk about being involved in the community. That's been my life since I'm in my 20s. And I was asked to be a board director then, but I refused because I was busy with my career. But I always stayed involved, and I always had my ear, my ear towards what was happening in the community and what was happening with us. Okay. As president of the African American Association, we've entertained Mayor Eric Adams and Senator Jamal Bailey and Congressman Jamal Bowman and other of our elected officials as guests. God, is that 60 seconds up already? Okay, all right, we'll continue.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, amazing answers from everyone. Okay, the next question I have here is what or what are one or two goals that you have to upgrade Co-op City? Okay, let's shift it around a little bit. Let's start with somebody else. Mary Pearson. Okay. Did you get the
Hello.
question? Oh, okay.
Okay, the big goal right now, it was get rid of the ramp. But I found, I looked through this little 1,200-page document about the first origination of the plan, the Bruckner Hutch plan for the community, not just our community. You've heard the expression, you can't see the forest for the trees. In our case, it was we couldn't see the forest for the tree. The ramp was the only thing we were looking at. They didn't tell us because they never invited us to the table until 2019. And as I said, the plan started in 2006. So they have they've been writing about it ever since. And I scoured this 1,200-page thing because the other one was 2,500 pages. And I saw, because Roseanne Boone of the CC Times put this diagram in of a southbound entrance with the exit at the ramp at the killer ramp, the death ramp and killer curve. There was an accompanying entrance going south. They decided to take that away because it would be beneficial to a private entity and you can't spend public funds. What is that flashing? Over.
Thank you.
Thank you. More later.
Okay, more later, that's right. Ezekiel Springer Jr., would you like to answer that question?
Sure. One major upgrade that I would like to see happen in co-op would be an upgrade of the garages, and mainly not so much the infrastructure that's a given because the garages are getting up there in age, but I would like to see the garages have actual cameras, security cameras, so that we can feel safe coming home at night. Better lighting in the garages. The garages are, to me, still fairly dim. So I think much stronger lighting. Call boxes for any sort of emergency that might happen in the garages. And, since I'm all about security and being safe here in Co-op City, I think upgrading the security of all of the garages should be pretty high up on our list to do. And I think it's doable. Cameras, call boxes, better lighting, that's doable.
Okay. Thank you. Ivy Gaynor?
Yes, I think the upgrade, one of my fantasies, or one of the big things that I would like to see happen is, and this is going to be a little touchy for some people due to the fact that we had that windmill that went haywire. I don't think it was properly situated, but I've noticed that when you go to Jacoby Hospital, they have windmills encaged, smaller ones. I feel that if we were to implement that here in Co-op City, instead of buying oil to run our hydroelectric plant, we could do it much cheaper, okay, and sell back to the grid if we, whatever we have from that. That was one of the major things that I've liked about seeing the possibility of this place being upgraded, as well as the park, and which would probably enhance somewhere near the park area that we would like to develop on the waterway. Security is very important. Well, you said only 2 goals, upgrades or more? I'm sorry.
You have a minute to respond. Oh, you have no more time. So,
but the security is very important too. Like I agree with Ezekiel saying that we need more cameras.
Later. You'll be able to speak again later. Your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's see. Aisha Hernandez Ahmed.
Hi. Yes. Well, for me, beautification is very important. We have a lot of different issues that we can do upgrades on, but I think the building have improvements, but I think we can do better. We have our floor tiles are in different colors, and I would like to see that change. I think we should have one solid color. Some of the doors, the shareholder doors are scraped and they need painting that haven't been, that I haven't seen that happen. So I think paying attention more to the beauty of our buildings is important, because if we're looking, the outside looks gorgeous, but some of our buildings inside need a lot of help. And the the compactors need a lot of enhancements. So that's what I would really concentrate in trying to have an upgrade on.
Okay,
It,
thank
yeah,
you.
and it won't cost that much.
Okay. Rod Saunders?
So three things, if I can get to it. First of all, let me say that the board has passed the resolution to put cameras and call boxes in the garage, so that's coming. Second of all, I would like to say that we have a mandate in the city of New York, a legislative mandate to change all buildings from gas to electric. In order to do that, that's going to cost shareholders tens of millions of dollars. So what I would like to do is work hand in hand with the legislature to see if we can either amend some of those mandates or help to get funding for some of those mandates, because otherwise it's going to make living here a little less affordable because of those mandates. I would also like to make sure that, well, let me leave it there.
Okay, Rod. Thank you. Monique Coleman?
So I would love to see the cable monopoly broken up. I feel like we have absolutely no choices with our current cable company, and I would like to see more alternatives to our current situation. And I would also like to see our waterfront park developed. I know we're seeking outside funding opportunities that won't cost the shareholders anything, and we are seeking public monies to help us build out a waterfront park. But I would love to see our waterfront developed. Every community, affluent community in New York City has a new park, and I think that we should have one too.
Okay. Thank you. Jacqueline Smith? You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, it must do it automatically itself.
Oh.
Okay. I was speaking to the cooperators before when they asked me to run. So restoration. Currently, the townhouses are experiencing quite a lot of construction defects. When it rains heavy, brown dirt comes down the front of our townhouses into our closets. So that's primary for them. The senior citizens spoke to me in the townhouse areas and would like to see call boxes inside the townhouse areas, not outside the townhouse areas. Young parents spoke to me and asked if there could be cameras in the playtop areas. Security, restoration, call center. I listen to the cooperatives. That's what they're asking for. So with my team, Blossom John, Lynette Wright, re-elect Ron Saunders, we're about increased board transparency. What does that really mean? That means that we need to listen more to what the cooperatives want, follow up on their concerns. If we can afford it, fine. If we can't, but answer them, speak to them, follow up when they talk to us at the board meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Michelle Marbury?
Yes, in 2024, our contract with cable expires. So, so we're gonna have to be proactive now, because that's gonna come so fast. We need to be proactive now on what we're gonna do, who we're gonna target to take the place of that monopoly. The cable is a dinosaur anyway, so I'd like to see us go fully digital with all of our information. And we've had discussions about that, and focused on that in the IT committee, and working and getting information from Irfan, from our management, and so that's one thing I'd like to work on. I'd also our quality of life, our convector upgrade. We started work on that in November when we sat down with the elected officials and said, hey, we need money for these convectors. Jesus, is this
Okay.
60 seconds up already?
Yes, you'll have another chance.
Okay.
Okay, Raymond Serrado? You're muted. You're muted, Raymond.
Hello?
Yes,
Yes.
now we can hear you.
Yes, I'd like to make improvements in the Department of Public Safety. I like to see more foot patrols. I see public safety in their cars and making their routine patrols in the same areas every day. I like to see them out of their cars, walking in and out of the buildings, in and out of the community. I also like to see improvements to our surveillance cameras, more surveillance cameras in the community as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Lynette Wright?
So the question's about upgrades, not some of the issues that we're having here. So I do want to keep it to that. I would say that for an upgrade, I can't say what I would want because it's honestly not about me. It's about this community and what the community needs. We're really in an unprecedented time right now where we're facing a very large number of mandates. So one thing that's needed is to be able to address the issues with the power plant. That mandate that came down for the entire state is going to have a very huge impact on us, and it's an investment that we need to start making moves towards. If we don't, what's at risk potentially is more increases, which is going to come from fines that were going to come from the state from being on fossil fuels, as well as the compromisation potentially of our energy if we have to go to other companies. We potentially lose our independence with that. So it's essential that we need to start working on that now, being able to find solutions that are sustainable long-term, as well as being able to reduce our uses of fossil fuels over time to be able to maintain our affordability here.
Okay, thank you so much. And Blossom Johns?
Absolutely. I know cooperators have spoken to me about the smoking of weed. That's a big issue. I would like to discuss as a board member, come together and figure out some kind of way if we could do designated areas outside, something to kind of curb, equal out this, because people got to smoke. It's their right. I get it. I'd like to find some solution to that so that we are all comfortable with it. And also with the upcoming cable contract, I know that there are better deals. The ball is in our court. Right now, we need to get together and talk about streaming, digital. It's much more less affordable if we can get, like other communities, our own streaming service versus cable. A lot of people here don't even have the cable anymore. So I'd like for us to benefit through a better, affordable service, cable service. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I think everybody answered that question fantastically. Okay, so another question I have here is, there have been complaints that the new lobby doors are closing too slowly. What, if anything, do you think should be done about that? Okay, so this time we'll start with Aisha.
Yes, I have seen that happen. The doors are closing slowly, but I know we have to be careful about our surroundings. However, there are people that have special needs that require that space of time to be able to get into the building. So I think it's a double-edged sword because we have to be mindful of our surroundings, but then we have to keep in consideration the shareholders that have wheelchairs and are carrying packages and are seniors, and they need that time. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, how about you, Rod?
I happen to concur with that, actually. We have the new ADA compliant doors in our lobby. I'm in a special situation because we live in a tower building. So not only do they stay open a little longer, but the pull has to be a little heavier. And that has to be because in the wintertime, especially in inclement weather, the door in the back door creates a draft with the door in the front door, and it allows it to stay open. So what they've had to do is adjust it so that it does close. But the time that it stays open, I agree that it has to be so that those with walkers and those with wheelchairs and other disabilities or inabilities to get out of the door quickly, they need the time to do so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Monique Coleman?
So we have not received the upgrades in my building yet, so I haven't personally experienced it. And so I would defer to the professionals in terms of, what are the standards for these doors and what are the targets? And, I think that, we should just use, evidence, to make our decisions. And if it doesn't work for our community, if it's, if people are drafting our shareholders and following them inside, and that becomes a problem, we should make some adjustments. But, I think we should use the evidence to make our decisions.
Okay, thank you. Jacqueline Smith, what do you think?
Yes, thank you. This is a good example of what my team is running on. I currently live in a townhouse, so I don't have any personal experience. So what I would do is listen to the cooperators, then go back to the board if I'm honored enough to be voted in, and we discuss it, and we take into consideration what's needed for the cooperatives based on the contract, and we try to come up with the best deal possible for the cooperatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Marbury, you're next.
Yes, hi again. It's all about community involvement and getting involved. And with regard to the lobby doors, because I'm involved and have and a regular pretty much at the Building and Grounds Committee, I have heard other shareholders express this, and I know that management is working on it and in touch with the companies that make these doors, and they know that we have this problem and that we're complaining about it. But it's a process. It's about like Rod said, a mechanism where they have to keep adjusting and find the right balance that's going to protect our ADA, our shareholders with special needs, and also our elders, and just us regulars, coming in and out of those doors. But it's a situation that's going to be a process to make it work right.
Thank you. Raymond Serrado?
He's muted.
You're muted. You're still muted.
Am I good?
Yes.
Okay. Because of the American Disabilities Act, the door has to remain open for a certain amount of time to allow persons who are disabled to come in and out. If it's opening for more of an extended amount of time, then I would defer to the Department of Security and the mechanical department to take a look at it and make an assessment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Lynette Wright?
So this is something I've also been concerned about. It's not in my building, but it's in several of my family members' building. And it's extremely hard to open the door if you do not use the panel at the bottom. And it also does stay on for a very prolonged period of time where you're in a vulnerable situation. I am not sure if this is possible or not, but most city agencies and actually a lot of private agencies have it that you have the option of either opening it by the door itself, and the door is not that heavy, or you have the option of having the door opened for you in the form that it is. So I'm not sure why with this model that it is very entailed that you almost have to open it, as opposed to ones that we probably have lived with for a very long time. I think that it's a manufacturer's question that needs further investigation. And as Michelle said, it does take time, and it's something that should be in process to be able to resolve.
Okay, very good. Blossom Jones?
If I was on the board, I would have to gather more information and facts from the users of these doors that know that these doors are specifically designed for. I'm not familiar with the situation with it. I haven't heard anybody in my building directly give me the complaints about it, but that would be an idea to have a committee with the users of the door and professionals to actually tell us what's the issue and what company we should be using. I'd have to investigate it further with the board and then go to management with it. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Mary Pearson?
Okay, I haven't gotten any complaints about the door closing too slowly, except when it does, the wind can keep it from closing at all when the wind is really high. I do have a problem that our door has never, our front door, the one with the key, has never
You're
worked.
losing the picture of the speaker on the last two speakers.
I'm sorry?
What?
Should I
You're
continue?
losing the picture on the speaker on the last two speakers. You're not getting the picture.
John, I think you can fix that with your own layout. Just put a grid, push layout and then push grid, and then you'll see everybody, and it won't be flushing back and forth with okay. Okay, so there's a guy named Ricardo. I don't remember his last name when he goes to the open board meetings, and he's a department head, and they just have construction. I've been complaining to him that you need 3 hands to open the ADA door. That's not a very our inside bar does not work. So you have to turn the key, keep it in that position, turn down the handle, take the key out, and then push the bar, but the bar does not work. So you have to push it open a little and push the bar from the inside. He was going to come and take all of section 5, because this is not just my building. It's ABC of 27. It's 33. It's 34. Whatever. It's a problem. It needs fixing. When they come and look at it, they put the key in the console. It works fine. But if you put your own key in, it does not. I don't see the woman with the. Oh, it's still going. Okay. So there are problems. We have an appointment to run around. The board has some advantages. We know what's in the works and what isn't. So
Thank you, Mary. Okay, Ezekiel Springer?
Thank you. Yeah, as I understand that this is currently in the works. I've had complaints said to me about the door. I think, like others have said, we need to see and test if there is a way to adjust, if that's possible, but we still have to be mindful of the elderly in our community and of those with special needs in our community. And if at all possible, if management and the door manufacturers can come together and find out if the speed of the door closing can be adjusted, that would be great. Also, if the door can be pushed closed once you're through, if that is at all possible. So it's a process that we have to look into going forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Ivy Gaynor?
Yes, my building has the new doors, and I guess the biggest problem for me is like when you're coming in late and someone coming in behind you, it can be kind of discerning. Maybe the doors can have some way of closing. I'm not sure with how long you're in the doorway, you know what I mean, with some form of sensor. I don't know how much that would cost. It might be too costly, But like you said, it's very important for people, for the disabled and the elderly, to be able to get through that door without it slamming on them, because it does get to be hard to push back open if you're going to try and push it back open. So it's like, it's either like the doors are either closing too soon, like let's say if you're coming in behind someone yourself, you know, it's something that needs to be investigated and looked at. You know, maybe there's something better that could happen, but it might involve sensor detection of somebody's body being in a certain area at the time. You know, that if let's say if you're already through the door, it should be able to close quicker, so that no one could come in right behind you that's not a resident. We don't have the lobby people anymore who'll ask someone that looks very unfamiliar where they're going. You know,
Okay, thank you
just have the
very
cameras.
much. Your time is up. Okay, those were interesting answers. Okay, the next question that I have here is, what would you do to keep our community safer? And this time, let's start with Jacqueline Smith.
Good evening. One of the things that my team stands for, the Stronger Together team, is support CCPD community policing. I worked 9 years with the New York City Police Department as administrative assistant. I'm very familiar with community policing. When I first moved to Co-op in the 1970s, we had community policing. It wasn't called that back then, but it was basically the officer was on the corner, the officer was in the mall, the officer was in the basketball court, the officer was at the paddleball courts. We knew the officers knew us. They were in the staircase, they chased us out of the staircase as little kids. I think that Co-op City would benefit going back to a community policing approach. If I was afforded the honor and the privilege to be voted in as a board member, along with my Stronger Together team, Blossom, Lynette, and Ron Saunders, that would be one of our tenets. We'd like to bring community policing to Co-op City. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, Michelle Marbury.
Yes, safety in Co-op City, serving as co-chair of the security committee. I am in contact with Chief Riley on a regular basis, and if situations arise and he needs to be informed, he is always ready and responds back to us on a timely basis. We are understaffed with regard to security and our CCPD officers. We have 66 officers currently, 15 supervisors. We should have 80, but still, Co-op City, I'm proud to say, has the lowest crime rate in the city. I'm not saying that we're perfect, but I am saying that it's admirable. And I'm saying that, you know, for 320 acres of property and 40,000 residents, and to have the lowest crime rate ratio in the city is pretty darn good.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, Raymond Serrado, how would you answer this question?
Again, what I said earlier also applies to this. Having officers performing foot patrol allows them to create a relationship with our youth and our community. And it also sends a message that we are out there and in full force. And also the implementation of additional surveillance cameras throughout the community would be a big improvement and would aid in that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lynette Wright?
So definitely increasing our staffing would be essential to have this. As was stated, we have money that's allocated for those positions, but we need to be able to recruit the people to be able to do that. If we're having staff right now that are doing mandatory overtime, as many of you know, it is very much more difficult to work at hour 12 than it was at hour 2. So to be able to have that, we need to have an adequate amount of staffing, like I said, which is already allocated within the bill. The other things I think that I would do is to have them out on the streets and not in the cars, either on foot patrol or on bike, was implemented previously. And also to be proactive, to be in the buildings and to be able to do sweeps in the hallways, where a lot of times cooperators may or may not be, but it's often areas that are vulnerable and very isolated. I would like to see all of that in addition to, as Jacqueline stated, community policing. They can see a lot of things, but they can't see everything. And working and learning about the community and the information that's going and what's happening, it's all of our jobs to be able to help each other, to be able to keep this community safe.
Thank you so much. Okay, so Blossom John?
You know, when I grew up, where I grew up, and we lost our lobby attendants, I would pose to the board that we turn this around to the building association presidents and have them create a voluntary system within the buildings. You can turn to the shareholders and ask for volunteers to sit. If it's so important to some of the buildings to have a lobby attendant, you can have CCPD work with them to train them. Just being the eyes and ears for CCPD, it wouldn't cost anything. The building would be protecting their own building, being the eyes and ears for CCPD. We could work with them that way, do training, educate them on what they should be looking out for. They wouldn't be opening doors. The same thing as the lobby, same duties as the lobby attendants there. You can do increments, 2 hours, 3 hours. It's a training, it's a thought, it's an idea. I would pose that to the board and have them turn around and take it. And this is what we're dealing with, having the community learn, having PCPD know their neighbors, work with the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mary Pearson?
That was a wonderful comment. When I first moved in here about 27 years ago, there was a young woman who lived in my building, 27, and she went to work really early, and a man took her pushed her back in the elevator, took her down to the basement, cut her throat with one of those little box cutters. Somebody was up watching our closed circuit TV, called the cops, called CCPD. They caught the guy. She lived. Where else could that happen than in Co-op City? That we have 15,000 eyes on our lobbies and on our back doors and in the laundry room. You can't really talk to me about safety because I think we are the safest place I have ever lived. I've lived in the East Village, so there's not really too much of a comparison. But I think that's a brilliant idea. We could do a community watch sitting in our kitchens looking at our TVs.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Ezekiel Springer Jr.?
Thank you. Yes, as others have said, that Co-op City is one of the safest communities in the Bronx. It's low because the good work of our public safety officers. They already do vertical sweeps. That means going up and down the buildings. They can do more. They can. I totally agree that they could do more vertical sweeps. Another thing is to encourage your neighbors and to know the police officers, like you said, community policing, and encourage each other to look out for each other, eyes, ears, everywhere. More surveillance, as Raymond said as well. Also, just to make sure that we are getting the right amount of security that we are paying for. Our budget is $13 million. Is it going to everything that we need as far as security? So we just need to make sure that that's happening.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ivy Gaynor?
Yes, I agree with Ezekiel also, and Mary, because I believe this is one of the safest communities, as it was said before. We might have some very sensitive spots or blind spots, as would be said in my old job. As a retired parole officer, we always considered blind spots, taught to look out for areas where people can be vulnerable and not seen. Our garages might need better lighting. I understand there are cameras in and out of the garage exits, but as far as, you know, the community helping out and everyone, like you said, you see something, say something, and we can watch each other on our cameras, on our televisions and the lobby cameras. I find those are very useful, but would also like, even like our floor captains and everything, maybe each floor taking a turn, as you said, maybe lobbying, sitting in the lobby from time to time, you know. I wasn't always a resident, but where I used to live, we used to always have people in the community that if anything went wrong, somebody in the community saw what happened and could convey.
Thank you
So
very much.
hopefully we could get more people in the
Thank
community to
you.
be more
Okay, then next up we have
visible.
Aisha Hernandez Ahmed. Aisha, did you hear me?
I think the volume's
Yes.
getting lower.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Um, so hearing from the shareholders, many times, I believe that lighting is in certain areas needed. The cameras and more CCTV visibility in areas that are dark are are really needed, even though I know that we're one of the safest places. And I think I'm very proud to live here and see how our CCTV officers are protecting us. But I think they need to be more involved. And the cameras, and that's what many shareholders are asking. And lighting, there's certain areas that need more lighting, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Rod Saunders?
Yes. So when I moved here in 1977, there was a retired police lieutenant who lived at the end of the hall from me. His name was Dan Sullivan. And Dan talked me into being one of the gentlemen that comes down in the evening. He would call it about 6:30, and we'd come down and we'd sit in the lobby. So I'm very familiar with doing that. That ended when my kids got a little older and I had to coach them in Little League. But oftentimes I would sit in or stand in the lobby with the gentlemen. Also, in 1986, my wife, who was a board director at that time, was chair of the security committee. She held a meeting in drives that 800 people came. And the majority of people said that they wanted to see more police officers, more of our security back then, more of our security officers patrolling 1 for 3 buildings. So what I would like to suggest is that when we come to our full staff enforcing, that we go back to that idea and start to have them on foot patrol doing community policing, but being responsible for doing at least 3 buildings. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Monique Coleman?
So many ideas, great ideas have already been shared, and I echo so many of the sentiments. I believe that we've got to use our current police force, and they have to be more visible. We have to use technology. We have to have cameras and lighting and call boxes. As Rod said, we did pass a resolution to put call boxes on every floor in the garages, so that's already on its way. And then, the other part of that is, when you see something, say something. I feel like when I was raising my children, the schools that they belonged to required that every family participate in being security. And we had to do patrols like 3 times a year, like walking around, they would put on a little vest, we'd walk around the block, for a couple of hours after school, each day, each family did it like 3 times a year. But we could do that in our lobbies. We could do that using our cameras.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think everybody answered that question, right? All right. So now this might be one of the last questions. Okay. So now that marijuana is legal, should Riverbay do anything to control secondhand marijuana smoke? And that question, who will I go to first? Blossom John, what do you say?
As I stated earlier, speaking on that subject, I would confer with the board on an idea of a designated area. I'm talking about outside. I don't know how much control we have inside because there are rights for people on both sides. So we could come together and figure out what the laws are, go to the community, see what their issues are, where we could find a designated spot where it's just out in the open and it's not disturbing anyone. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Mary Pearson?
Okay, yeah, I know CCPD is still saying, until it's totally legal, you cannot smoke outside. You can't smoke of course, not in the staircases and the hallways, but you cannot smoke anywhere on the premises. So what I would recommend is that people start doing edibles when it's time. Now, when there was a problem just from plain smoke, people were just devastated by secondhand smoke. And I made the suggestion, whoever is smoking should buy a smoke eater, one of those little, like some kind of air purifier, smoke eater, and to put a snake by the door to keep the smoke in the house and keep your window closed because it's going to go into somebody else's. So that's all I can say. Do edibles, be considerate of your neighbors, try to keep the smoke inside your own apartment.
Okay. Ezekiel Springer?
Yes. I also feel that I'm not sure if there's much we can do about outside, but we can definitely do enough inside. It's just like smoking. No smoking in the lobby, no smoking in the hallways, no smoking in the stairwells. We can enforce that. And as Mary said, until there's smoking completely outside on the grounds of Co-op City, we can be aware of that. We can alert public safety, but the day will come when smoking outside will be the norm. So I'm not sure if there's anything we can do about that. That bridge may have passed, so let's maintain the areas that we can maintain, and that's the indoors, the lobbies, the staircases, the hallways.
Okay, thank you. Ivy Gaynor?
Wow. Now, when I first moved here, I had a lot of smoke coming into my apartment. It was very disturbing. I made a few complaints, but at the time it was illegal. I don't know. I haven't smelled it since, but so I don't know really what to say about it other than that maybe, we could go to our community heads or our elected officials. And since it's a thing that can be considered recreational and they allow it, it's legal, maybe somebody somewhere can pretty much designate a park for them, because like I said, it's still going to come into other people's apartments, It did mine for a while, and I don't know how they can regulate it now that it's legal. I have no suggestions for it at this time, but other than there being something recreational off the premises, and maybe pretty much direct people in that direction, where they can go somewhere and do what they want to do.
Okay, thank you very much. Aisha Hernandez Ahmed?
Yes, I know that it's something that is going to be happening, but I believe having designated areas, I concur with the Ms. Blossom, who also made that comment, designated areas, because there's nothing else that we can do once it's legal. There is nothing else that we can do. So I concur with just designated areas so that people can do what they want to do and not infringe in our time in our. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, Rod Saunders.
Let's take into consideration that the Assembly and the Senate passed the law, and they're putting a commission forward who's actually going to design how you can be compliant or out of compliance. So we need to wait until there's some final rules and regulations that's written by the commission. And then I think we'll have a better understanding of which way we can go, whether that be indoors or outdoors. But I also would like to point out that we have many residents who have respiratory illnesses and problems. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that whatever you do in your apartment has a way of finding its way through our air vents, and it affects other people, though we think it affects ourselves only. So we need to, once again, wait. Let's see what the commission that's been appointed by the legislation, let's see what they work out. And if we need to further tweak those laws, we can speak to our legislators about doing so. Thank you.
Okay, Monique Coleman.
Yeah, like Ivy, I suffered from that issue for a while also. I had, I smelled smoke in my apartment often, and not anymore, but there was a long period of time where I did get a lot of secondhand cigarette smoke. I don't know that there's anything that we can do about, people smoking in their own apartments. I mean, I would open my window to get fresh air when it happened to me. And we already have laws in New York State that prevent people from smoking inside buildings, restaurants, bars, and people are pretty well trained about not smoking in public spaces. So I don't think that we'll have issues with people smoking in our buildings because there's already a law against, those kinds of things, and people are pretty compliant. But again, we're a community, and I think that, and we just have to care about one another and, respect our neighbors. And, and I think we, if somebody is behaving inappropriately, we should be able to address it directly.
Okay. Thank you so much. Jacqueline Smith.
Thank you for the question. I concur with Rod. Secondhand smoke became popular because there were lawsuits. Prior to people having lawsuits against different individuals in their co-ops and their condos, secondhand smoke wasn't on the forefront of the news. So I agree with Rod, we need to wait, because the truth of the matter is we really don't know where this is going. If someone is smoking extensive marijuana in their apartment and it goes into someone else's apartment and they have a respiratory or some kind of ailment that they could actually prove in a court of law, we don't know where we're going. But I think we should wait and see where this leads. But again, hopefully as cooperatives, we can come together and come to a resolution that will be good for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Marbury.
Yes, I concur with a lot of the ideas and platforms that have been put forth. I think Monique made a good point about it's about caring about each other, and it's about community involvement. Again, we're going to have to sit down and iron out what are the avenues that we can take for people who have issues and are going to be affected by this in their own homes. And we're going to have to knock on the door of our legislators, after those laws, after we find out exactly what those laws say and how they can best benefit all of us. Some people are going to be taking this marijuana for medicinal reasons, and others not. But we shouldn't be bombarded. People who have asthma or other respiratory issues shouldn't be bombarded with that because somebody else can smoke. So it's going to be an uphill battle, but that's why we have a board, and that's why we need to come together.
Thank you. Raymond Serrado.
Yes, good question. Before we consider implementing any kind of rules or regulations regarding this issue, the board has to look at the legality and liability to our corporation by getting advice from our legal counsel and the CCPD. New Jersey, the state of New Jersey just passed a law to make it recreational, and we're not far from that. So the use of marijuana is definitely not going away. It's coming here and it's coming soon. Now, what I did on a personal basis is that I had that same issue. I brought several packs of magnetic covers and covered my ventilation systems for when I was having that issue. I also brought a HEPA filter, and it worked tremendously. So that's how I dealt with it. But that issue is not going away. It's definitely coming. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's see, next we have Lynette Wright.
So I think that this is something that's very difficult to be able to manage, in the sense that we are talking about marijuana smoke predominantly, but smoke is smoke at the end of the day. And we haven't had a conversation about cigarette smoke, which is also under that. For myself, I think that we do need to confirm, first of all, on where we are within the decriminalization legality process, because that's one part of it as far as the legal aspect, but we also do need to look at both. And I think that we might be able, again, we would need to ask legal about what we'd be able to do if we do want to become a smoke-free community. But I don't think that that's a decision that needs to be decided by the board. I think that that's a decision where shareholders need to come together. We need to be able to speak about it, and we need to be able to have a committee that talks about what are the pros and cons potentially of implementing that if we need to. It has to be something that is brought to you by the people who live here, and it should be our and their decision.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I think we have time for one more question, and then we'll do our closing remarks. Okay, this is the last question. What are your thoughts about the exit ramp being constructed on Bartow Avenue at Section 5 around Cooperator? Have you been an active cooperator in supporting or protesting this project? Okay, so let's start with Monique Coleman.
So I am against it. I feel like it's going to, my first gut instinct was that it was going to isolate Section 5 further from the rest of Co-op City. I was worried about, our power lines being compromised. Then when I looked further at the project and I saw that they were sealing off all the entrance ramps from the clover leaves that feed in from Shore Road and Pelham Parkway, then I started to feel like this project really is more about, separating our community from other communities, and making our community more accessible while making other communities nearby a little bit more exclusive. And there's been so much in the news about using highways to divide communities. I feel like some of that is happening. So while, the outside is going to gain access to our Metro North station and our shopping mall and crowd up Section 5, all of our little bedroom communities that surround us will, be further protected, but then they'll have a quick way into the city. So I disagree with this plan.
Okay, thank you. Jacqueline Smith?
What I can say is that it's a travesty, an absolute travesty. And that's why it's important that Co-op City gets back to what it once was. It was a strong political community also. You couldn't get elected in New York City if you didn't come to Co-op City. That's why with the stewardship of Rod Stewart and the Legislative Committee, we should be on these projects from the very beginning, having a relationship with these politicians, letting them know from the beginning that we're not going to stand for this and that we're not going to tolerate, as the previous speaker said, you trying to separate us or treat us like secondhand citizens. I'm very concerned for Section 5. I work in the Hunts Point area. They're always protesting down there, the rates of asthma for children. God knows what's going to happen to the young people in Section 5. We need to get on these things as soon as possible, even though I know a report came out and everyone found out that they were talking about this project without even inviting us to the table. Whoever did that should pay with our votes. Vote for my team. We'll make sure that we get on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next one I'd like to answer this question is Michelle Marbury.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Reaver. I agree with Monique about Section 5 being exiled and separated, and I echo all of her thoughts and the thoughts of this is a total, just a chaotic mess. They in the preliminary digging, they found that there were cables that they were going to hit that could cause massive explosions in Co-op City, which puts us all in danger and the surrounding areas. So I'm sure that we will enlist the expertise of Jeff Buss, who I think is already on this, and bring this to court and keep them tied up in court for as long as it takes. I applaud President Bernard Silik for putting together the bus and going up to Albany and rallying. I took flyers downstairs in my own building and had people call because I couldn't go, but I made calls, and we can all do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Raymond Serrado?
Yes, so the implementation of this off-ramp is going to lead to many negative effects on our traffic pattern in that area. And I can tell you, if that grows through, it's not going to stop with just that off-ramp. I think the board and our legal staff have to put our elected representative to task and lean on the city. And as someone said earlier, tie them up in court for some good time to delay this from happening and possibly end the off-ramp altogether. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lynette Wright?
I also agree with what is said. This is very personal for me because I grew up in Section 5, and it feels like Section 5 is consistently getting hit with just more bad news and more things that are never really to benefit it, but benefit other people. And this is another example of that. What I'm disappointed in is the fact that this is not something new at all. This is something that the New York State Department of Transportation has been talking about since 2006. This is a 16-year myth that no one knew about, and that, at least from the records, appears that there really was not the intention and effort to even come and talk to the leaders we have here. That's the strength that we have, is that we're not like other communities. We do have people to come through. At this point, I hope that the legal process goes through, but it's also not just up to 15 people. It is all of us. We are approximately 50,000 people, and we need to be able to be heard and to be said. In the documents, it specifically indicates there is no benefit to Co-op City, and it says that explicitly. So we need to go out and we need to be able to solve this together.
Thank you. Now, Blossom John?
I agree with both Jacqueline Smith and Lynette Wright. I don't feel that the community should feel defeated yet, even as the ground breaks. I know that the legislative committee is still pushing for help. We're talking to our legislators, our city officials. We're going to keep on their necks. It's not going to end like that. So we're not going to give up. We're stronger together. We'll make it happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mary Pearson?
All right. I was on the bus. I've been fighting this. I've been writing about it incessantly since 2019 in January, when Roseanne first put a description of what everything was going to be happening. What Monique was talking about, they're doing a lot of more things, taking away ramps, making everyone filter into one entrance to 95 to come back home. But then I saw that schematic in the paper, and it's like, oh, they were planning a southbound. All right, why did they stop planning the southbound? They stopped planning it because you can't use public funds for a private industry. Well, don't look now. We're using our public funds to make the off-ramp to benefit Bay Plaza. They said it's so Section 5 people can find their way home. We know how to get home. We don't need the ramp, the off-ramp. The other reason was to get to the Metro North station platform once that's finished being built in about 2026. But we don't need that. What we vitally need is a south of the tracks entrance ramp. So everyone, oh, I'm done.
Okay,
Sorry.
Mary, thank you. Ezekiel Springer?
Thank you. And I, like pretty much everyone else here, I'm against the off-ramp. I live right next to Killer Curve. I'm in building 32. The barrier is there for a reason. It's there for our safety. We need to keep that there. I made calls to the governor's office. I suggest everyone, make a call to the governor's office, the city, and then wherever you can, just make those calls. There are flyers up in your buildings with the phone numbers, so there's no excuse, make the calls. I also want to commend Bernie Silage for taking the lead in the bus ride to Albany. And I was also Mary, also being a part of the bus ride to Albany. I thought that was great. Seems like always Section 5 is the stepchild of Co-op City. And that's becoming annoying. Well, it's been annoying for many years now. But we Section 5 residents mostly need to push back. So make those calls to the governor's office.
Okay, thank you. Ivy Gaynor?
Well, I'm in agreement with Ezekiel, Monique, and Michelle, and quite a few other people here too, because that's very important. Our community should not be cast aside for the betterment of other communities. I feel also that we should also work very hard to stay in touch with our political leaders, state, local, and federal, to see that we do something that is not going to be detrimental to the safety of people that have to move in and out of that section. Understand those guards that they have there, the barriers will be removed as a result, and that's a very sharp turn there. It's very nerve-wracking. So I'm very much in agreement with not having them, change that whole area to make certain other people comfortable and to not, get rid of our exit ramps. It's not a good look.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivy Gaynor. Next we have Aisha Hernandez Ahmad. Would you like to answer that question?
Yes.
She's frozen.
Hi.
Oh, she's frozen. Oh.
Yes, yeah. I've been involved with, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I've been involved through Mary Pearson and Bernie Silage. I've been to their rally and I opposed the ramp. I think the New York State is taking our lives for granted. They're taking a chance on those pipes underneath the ground, and they have no consideration. So I plead for all shareholders to call Albany and let the governor know that our health and our lives matter, and we should make those calls. Thank you.
Okay. And let's see. Rod Saunders.
Thank you. So for those of you who read the Co-op City Times, dating back from last February when we had to make comments, to those who saw the rally on News Channel 12, you know that I am absolutely opposed to the exit ramp on the northbound Hutch Mobility project. Also, I had an opportunity to be at that rally with State Senator Jamal Bailey and with Michael Benedetto, Assemblyman Mike Benedetto. Both of them opposed the exit ramp. More importantly, and recently, I joined fellow board director Leslie Peterson, and we met with U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. We explained to her what this was because part of the funding for this exit ramp is federal funding. She sort of agreed to come to Co-op City and make this part of one of her priorities to talk about and possibly see what sort of advantage that Co-op City can have, and if not stopping this, doing something that helps us out with this exit ramp. But she would like to help stop it if at all possible. So yes, I'm opposed to it, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we had a very interesting session, and now it's time to wrap up. So we will have closing statements for 1 minute. So again, we'll start with Raymond Serrado.
Yes, I want to thank my fellow candidates and the shareholders who were able to get online with us and be part of the forum. I also like to say, if you look at my record and the upcoming candidate statement, you'll see that I have proven my worth during my last tenure on the board. The work on the board that I created is still generating revenue and benefit for our great community. And I thank you for being here tonight, and have a great evening. God bless you all.
Okay, thank you, Raymond. Lynette Wright.
I'd like to say thank you to everyone tonight for tuning in and definitely being an active part of change. Thank you to all of the candidates that are here for expressing your viewpoints and really being able to get that out to the community. I just want to say that I am appreciative of being able to present this information to you. I look forward to being able to speak to shareholders more about what their issues are, what their concerns are, and be able to speak one-on-one a little bit more about what are the things that I believe my team can do to be able to unite Co-op City completely. So thank you tonight, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Okay, thank you, Lynette Wright. Blossom John.
I too would like to thank all of the viewers. I know the decision is going to be tough. I'd like to describe myself in 3 words. I'm dependable, trustworthy, and caring. As a director, I would chair committees and listen to the shareholders' concerns. I would come up with ideas and ideas to help the organization grow. I'm naturally dependable and I can be trusted and to complete my tasks on time and attend regular board meetings. I have the energy to do it. I'm ready to do it. I will also seek out the issues and concerns shareholders are experiencing and do my own research. I vow to you that when challenges and opportunities come up, I will gather the facts and make financially, ethically, and legal decisions within the bylaws that benefit the community, aiming not to break the bank. Thank you. Vote for my team, Blossom Johns, Rod Saunders, Lynette Wright, Jacqueline Smith. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Mary Pearson.
Okay, again, thank you everybody for being here. I have a million more things to say. Hopefully there'll be more time for you to read about the ramp. In this case, 2 ramps are better than none. Studies were done. Traffic would be lessened if we had both ramps. If we don't get both ramps, absolutely get rid of the other one. But don't be so nervous about it. Noelle is on top of stuff. Noelle Ellison, they're doing redundancies for all of our important lines coming into Section 5. There will be, all the cables or the water coming from the power plant to do our heating and cooling. They're going to put them in their huge tubes that they're going to put an extra set of everything just in case. They also rearranged where the ramp would lead to avoid much of the problems that we first were very upset about and thought we had to pay for if they were damaged. Okay, there's that. But now is the time to use everything we have to try to see the whole forest, not just the tree. Every community. Oh, okay. Thank you. Goodbye.
Mary,
Oh, vote for Monique. Vote for Monique.
Okay, next up we have Ezekiel Springer Jr.
First off, I want to thank all the other candidates, and I especially want to thank the shareholders tuning in. Thank you for your time. My concerns are your concerns: safety, affordability, quality of life. This is why I'm running with the Coalition to Save Affordable Housing. Together with fellow candidates Ivy Gaynor, Aisha Hernandez Ahmed, and returning champions Michelle Marbury and Monique Coleman, we will advocate for you in the boardroom. We will support you in tackling your concerns. And we will unite us all in the spirit of Co-op City. So go to www.ctsah.net for more information. And remember to vote for me and the winning team. I'm Ezekiel Springer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ivy Gaynor?
Thank you, shareholders, and thank you, running mates on the spirit of Co-op City. I would like for everyone to vote for us and the committee for the Coalition to Save Affordable Housing. Excuse me. I must be getting tired. This was a great experience. I would like to be able to continue to service you, and I hope you vote for me. I'm willing to learn, I'm very excited about this whole process. This is my first time. So if you see some little mistakes here, trust me, I will grow and I'll get better. So vote for Ezekiel Saunders, myself, Ivy Gaynor, Monique Coleman, Michelle Marbury, and Aisha Ahmed Hernandez. Thank you so much for having me this evening.
Thank you. Okay, Aisha Hernandez Ahmed? Okay, your closing remarks, speak loud. Aisha, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. Um, I lost you for a few minutes. I don't know why my internet left. I want to thank the election committee, shareholders, and the candidates as well. I am pledging to be able to help everyone in the community keep Co-op City safe, affordable, encourage the cooperative spirit, strive to achieve high standards of service, encourage union labor employment, and New York City funding for community center. I urge you to vote for our team, the spirit of Co-op City, Michelle Marbury, Ezekiel Springer, Monique Coleman. Good night.
Okay. Thank you. Rod Saunders?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for their participation and, very important, the shareholders for their questions. I'd also like to thank the committee for their work during this election cycle. And I wanted to remind everyone that the platform that the Stronger Together team runs on is a very important platform. And I would like you to pay very close attention to it, both on our flyers and our advertisement in this upcoming week's edition of the Co-op City Times. I am asking you, please, to vote for Blossom Johns, Lynette Wright, and Jacqueline Smith, and to re-elect Rod Saunders to the Riverbay Board of Directors. We are your Stronger Together team. It is time for a change, and we want to bring you that change. Thank you.
Okay. Next we have Monique Coleman for your closing remarks.
Thank you, Reva. So I feel like I'm just getting started. I've only been at this for 6 months, and it's been a whirlwind, but a great experience. Again, you know, we've begun to do some fantastic work on the insurance committee. We've saved really about $1 million. It's about 800. I won't exaggerate, $800,000 between the two policies that we've renewed for 2022, and that work continues. But you know, my priorities are accountability, affordability, and autonomy. I really want to maintain affordability so that our community remains independent. We have something that's precious here in Co-op City. We're unique. We're different from other communities, and we're self-sufficient, and we want to stay that way. So, you know, I want to be part of the board so that I can continue to fight to keep our costs low so that we can have something to pass on to our next generation. You know, just like we were able to inherit this or have a part, you know, participate in this and take advantage of the best deal in town. I want to be able to pass this on to the next generation as well. So please vote for me, Monique Coleman, and my team, the Spirit of Co-op City, Michelle Marbury, Aisha Ahmed, Ivy Gaynor, and Ezekiel Springer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And next up, we have Jacqueline Smith for your closing remarks.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to take a moment and thank God for the moment and the blessing. It's an honor and a privilege to be even part of this. I know my mother, a child of the civil rights, to come so far. I hope I'm honoring her. I want to thank the election committee and the shareholders for caring. The Stronger Together team has a vision, a mission to take this community into the 21st century. First and foremost, transparency with the board, returning to monthly board members' meetings with galleries. There's a lot of work to be done, but by being on the MTA committee with Blossom John, Lynette Wright, and Ron Saunders, it reminded me that together we're stronger and anything is possible as long as we're putting first and foremost what the cooperatives want and not what an individual board member wants. And my team understands that. The team, the Stronger Together team. Together, strong, we all belong. Good night and thank you.
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, Michelle Marbury.
Thank you, Ms. Weaver, and thank you, everybody. My dream is to educate and empower every shareholder and save Co-op City for generations to come. I pledge that you can trust me and my team, the Spirit of Co-op City, to be your voice in the boardroom. Yes, we have challenges, but your potential, my potential, our potential is infinite as shareholders together. And our potential is always bigger than any problems that we're going through. That is the energy and intention that I and my team will bring back to the boardroom, that I will bring back and with my team into the boardroom. Let's discover who we are together. I see a Co-op City that is already on the path to greatness. I see a Co-op City with a purpose. Every shareholder and cooperator has a purpose, comprised of individual gifts and talents and abilities. Together, our purpose is dynamic. Co-op City is a microcosm of the world. I look out at this majesty that is Co-op City, and I see endless possibilities.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much, Michelle. Okay, this has been a fantastic evening. Thank you all so much. And thank you for my election committee. Again, they've been great meeting with me every week, sometimes twice a week. And it's been really great. And thank you, Jeff Buss, for giving your expertise. And by the way, Jeff Buss, do you have any closing?
I'd just like to say two things, if I may. You know, first, what an amazing display of community caring, concern, a tremendous group. I was, you know, fascinated to see the passion that everybody had. I'm glad I don't have to make a choice. I wouldn't know how to pick 5 out of this 11. And I wanted to share with you and all the people just watching that at 8:48 this evening, Co-op City just closed the loan with Wells Fargo and HUD guarantees, and we've raised basically $115 million for capital improvements for Co-op City. So congratulations, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, I want to thank everybody again for attending, all the shareholders, cooperators, and friends and all the families that tuned in. Thank you so much. And you will receive your ballot in the mail in a couple of days, in a few days. And I just urge everybody to vote. So, talk to your neighbors and tell them to talk to their neighbors, and everybody, please, please vote. And again, if you have any questions, we have 2 more forums. If you have any questions that you would like to submit them to Riverbay. The email address is riverbay2022election@riverbaycorp.com. So we hope to hear from you. So until Saturday, the next forum is Saturday at 3 p.m. And I think it'll be just like this one, right, Jeff?
Yes. I think
Okay.
we're not going to be able to meet in Dreiser, and hopefully we're all healthy. We don't want to intrude on people's personal things, but one of the people participating in this evening had tested positive. So rather than risk exposure for any of the candidates or this committee or Riverbay employees, we decided to go virtual at the last moment. So thank you so much for everybody for understanding. And I'm glad, I hope, to hear that the sound and the volume came up so that everybody in Co-op City could hear this. And we've recorded it. So if you missed the first 40 minutes and you're in section 5, hopefully you can tune in and watch it. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks again, everybody.